Hey everybody, welcome to In Touch with the Miller Boys. Obviously it's Wednesday, January 6th, 2021. The day that will go down in infamy as the craziest day I've ever lived through in my 54 years of life. So we'll talk about, hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about some of that stuff as we go forward. You can see that there's, welcome to In Touch with the Miller Boys. That didn't work, so let me get out of there. Okay, but anyway, you can see we're being hosted tonight by Mad Talk TV. A little bit of a switch. We'll give you some more details as we get information moving forward. We're going to try to continue to stay in this time frame, the 8 to 9 o'clock time frame on Wednesdays, but we'll see what happens as we go forward. But we'll make sure that we send out messages and encourage and give you as much information as we can and encourage you to follow us, continuously follow us as we go forward. What's up, G?
Oh man, I'm just being beautiful, enjoying the sunset back there, they wanted Baby Yoda, hey, he has a name, I forgot it though. Just living the life, man.
Right?
Huh?
When you do that, you disappear.
Yeah, that's the whole purpose of it. I got my superpowers back on the 21st last month. You didn't know that?
I missed that memo.
Well, I just keep amazing myself to see the things that I hear and put together, come together the way they do from different people, different spaces, different places. You just gotta love them. You gotta love people for what they are, how they are, and that's about the size of it, man. This was a very interesting day. I loved it. Loved to hear the people talk about it. Loved to people see what they were doing. But it is a changing of the understanding for a lot of people, and change is not good for some people. They can't adapt.
Yeah, agreed. And as much as people have difficulties with change, change is inevitable. Nothing stays the same. And so what sticks out of your brain from today other than the obvious?
What's the obvious?
The Donald Trump and his Donald Trump mobilized an insurrection today in Washington, D.C.
That he did do.
Okay, that's the obvious. And I'm sitting here, as you see my eyes go up. There's some footage that's starting to come out now about the interaction that happened actually inside of the Capitol building. And one of the interesting points that I heard today, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I haven't had a chance to go back and look in there. Somebody said that this was the first time that the Capitol was breached since the British broke into the Capitol and burned it to the ground in the War of 1812.
Yes.
So Donald Trump has
That's
set
what
us
I've heard
back
too.
200 years, dude. This dude's 4-year presidency has set us back as a country 200 years. And I haven't been able to wrap my head totally around this. I can't say that I was surprised by what happened today. It wasn't a surprising component to me. It was more of a disappointment. I think than anything. I'm real tired, man.
Why is it disappointing?
Because it's disappointing. Because this is the country I was born in, the country of my citizenship. And as long as I've been alive, we have been numero uno in the world. Other countries come to us to looking for help, looking for guidance, looking for support in political realms or social realms or whatever, those type of things. And for us to fall
from number one to number 1.5.
I don't know if, well, when you say 1.5, there's a lot of damage that this dude has done in 4 years, and some of it is irreversible.
Like what? I don't. What's irreversible?
When Guatemala has a strong dictator overthrow of their government, and there is peaceful people there looking for help, they're not coming to us no more. We don't have any standing at all politically in the world to validate anything. When you have
whoa, that can't go unchallenged. You don't believe that the you said it, so no, I disagree with that.
Okay. That's just only my 2 cents. I mean, it's not based on anything. It's just my feeling, my 2 cents from what I've heard, what I've, mainly the radio that I've listened to about the conversations that people are having, the information they're sharing from across the world, across the country, their reactions to what happened today. It's like being a principal of a school and convicted of being a child abuser. Those two things cannot exist in the same arena. You cannot be a great principal and be a child abuser. And so that's kind of the situation that we're in. We cannot be this great beacon of freedom and responsibilities and this political bastion of where people want to be like us. What does it say? Give us your free, or whatever the hell it is, on the Statue of Liberty. All the people when people have troubles in other countries, they flee to here. All these immigrants and refugees we've got here is because they came here under the promise or under the ideology that America was different, very, very, very vastly different than the governments in which they were fleeing from, the countries they were fleeing from. And we're no longer there, man.
Don't buy that lie.
Buy what lie?
That we have been the beacon of acceptance around the world for everybody, willy-nilly. No, don't buy that lie.
How is that a lie, Joe? When we in Fresno County,
how is that a lie?
We have
ask the Haitian refugees that try to come to the United States if they can come here or not.
They can't. That's one population, the Haitians. That is one population that you're absolutely correct, that has been subjugated and not allowed to come to the United States. But Fresno County alone has approximately 150 languages, dialects that are spoken here in just our county alone. So when you say that we are not the bastion or the place where people flee to when they're fleeing their countries, yeah, I agree with you. The Haitians is one population, and I'm sure there's some other populations.
What's that? Somalians can come freely to the United States.
I don't know anything about the Somali. Well, yeah, there's Somali refugees here. There's a ton of Somali refugees.
Oh, there's Haitian there's Haitian refugees here too.
But
okay, okay. Differences of ideology. I understand. So for me, the United States of America is the greatest country that ever lived, that has ever been born, ever been brought into existence. We're the most powerful country that has ever been on the planet of the world. We have the most resources on this planet in the world, and that's why everybody would like to come here. However, the pond is shrinking, and so you have one portion of the population, Caucasian folks, that are out there running around telling other people around the world that the doors are closed. And so that's what we have been seeing for the last 4 years. And now that the doors are closed and we can see just how negative it is, how violent it is, how much they despise folks, now we have to deal with it. It's the ugly underbelly of the United States that is being exposed. And that's why I say there's the 1964 Civil Rights Bill was the demarcation line of the folks that are over that age that will not change because they could treat people of color and other people any old kind of way they wanted to. And then you have the population under who are trying their best to get along and understand that we are all one people. However, the one people, you still have to be able to protect yourself. You can't just go out there and do it, allow people to treat you or do what they want to do to you. And that's the problem that they have. When things get fair and equitable, the folks that are in charge and that have the power, they don't like it. They want it to stay the way it is, and it's changing. So, hey, I kind of expected this to happen today. You yourself have been saying, what is Donald Trump going to do in his from the 31st to the 20th? What kind of crap is he going to pull? And now we see he's shown his hand.
He is dangerous, man. That dude is dangerous. He is a caged animal. He is a cornered animal that does not that has no other recourse other than to come out blazing. There is no back door. There is no windows. There is no more support he can call on. So all he can do is come out in a blaze of glory. And I think that's part of what we're seeing. And that's what I'm hearing also from Republicans. They're saying that today also, that this dude is dangerous. Yeah, he only got 14 more days as the presidency. But in those 14 days, there's a lot of additional damage that he can do in his blaze of glory going out.
So what do you do when because an older officer, when I was a young officer, gave me a story to understand. And so what do you do in that situation if you are the master of the fate of the beast that is causing all those issues and problems?
Well, I think what needs to happen is when after these the legislation takes care, the House and the Senate takes care of their business today, I think the first thing, order of business that the House needs to do tomorrow is open up a new impeachment of Donald Trump. Not that there may not be enough time to get it through. There may not be a substantial process to be able to get it completed. We know that the Senate, or we believe that the Senate won't pass it. That's beside the point. Because one of the things that's going on right now is I think he is doing a lot of these things that he's doing because he thinks he has, and his out is pardon. He cannot pardon another person if he is under impeachment. If he's been impeached or been removed, or if he's under impeachment investigation, he cannot issue pardons. And so I think that there's some people. If you noticed that Turtle Man today changed his tune, have you heard any of the things he's talking about today?
They're all going to change. They're all going to change their tunes, the intelligent ones, because they don't want to be harmed by the blowback of the Donald Trump grenade that has gone off. They don't, as the streets say, they don't want that smoke.
I really do believe that the House tomorrow, their first order of business should be to introduce new articles of impeachment against Donald Trump, based on
Donald Trump. Go ahead.
Based on his actions that have led to this basically insurrection that we've had today. The rhetoric that he's used, the rhetoric that his surrogates have used, those lawyers, that Gomer dude from Texas. I think that they need to call up articles of impeachment. Whether they go through or not, that's fine.
The Donald Trump grenade that has gone off.
So I just think that's one of the things, because one of the other action that's got to happen, with our side of the ledger, the Democratic side of the ledger, is that they have to have some people. I don't forget what the movie is. I think it might be with Nicolas Cage. That movie when they're following all the treasures and stuff, and he done broke all these laws. He broke these laws trying to save the treasure chest and all that stuff. And at the very end, the federal agent is chasing him all over the country, all over the world, catches up with him, and he says something to Nicolas Cage about somebody's got to go to jail. He don't tell him he's not telling Nicolas Cage necessarily he's got to go to jail, but because of all the stuff that's going on, somebody got to go to jail. And I think that somebody needs to have that same type of conversation with a McConnell, Mitt Romney, some of these other folks. Hey, at the end of the day, somebody going to jail, whether it be you, whether it be Trump, whether it be somebody's going to be held accountable for this bullshit y'all been doing for the last 4 years. So here's your opportunity to get yourself from up under this weight, but somebody going to jail. And if the Democrats don't take that type of posture, in 2 years, they're going to be right back like what happened with Obama. The young folks are going to be turned off. They're not going to participate, and it opens the door for the conservative mindset to wrestle back control of the legislature, unfortunately.
Yeah, Tina Juarez says, you're talking about national treasure, and she says, and if Trump is fully impeached, he will not be able to run for president ever again. So if he's removed, but he'll be gone out of the office before he's removed. I think what they should do tomorrow is set a precedent and go and arrest him for insurrection and treason, and move on him that way. I don't think it will happen, because that's an embarrassment to the United States of America, but that's what they need to do.
I don't believe they can arrest him. That's the question that has never been brought before, because if you arrest him, then basically you're removing him from his duly elected role as the commander-in-chief of the United States. And so that's why they use the impeachment component. I agree with you. I don't believe that the Congress has the ability to go and arrest him, because who would do the arresting?
The Justice Department.
Yeah, but that would have to be under
the Vice President, Congress, or the Senate, and the Justice Department. You set a precedent.
That would be what's his face, Barr, and I can't see Barr arresting the president. No, now once I'm just 15 saying, days from now, all bets are off. But in the next 14 days, Yeah.
Like I said, I don't see them doing that either, because it would set a what they would consider a negative precedent. But that's what needs to happen to him. He stood down the street today, lathered those idiots up, and pointed them in the direction of the Congress, and told them, him and his sons, both of them got up there and made these speeches, and wound those people up and sent them down there to kill, to maim, to destroy the government of the United States. That's treasonous, and it's insurrection. So yeah, he needs to be his ripcord needs to be pulled. I agree.
So what I think, supposedly the other thing that they're considering doing is censure, which means they basically put a muzzle on him. He cannot, if they censor him, one of the things they could do is not give him permission to speak as the president or on behalf of the country. I know that's been discussed also, but that's that's like, instead of giving somebody warm milk and cookies, you give them cold buttermilk and cookies. They still get the cookies. But I know that was also talked about last week in some analysts that I was listening to. So anyway, I see right now that that the House has rejected the objection with the Arizona electoral vote, and I know that the Senate had already rejected it. So I don't know where they are in that process, but there should be, the next challenge was supposed to come from Pennsylvania. I think they're going to challenge Pennsylvania. They're talking about challenging Nevada, which I don't think is going to happen, Wisconsin, and Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. John Ossoff have won their positions to be in the Senate. And so now the Senate is 50-50 as far as the split. And so I don't know if you got a chance to watch any of the stuff last night from the results and different things coming in from Atlanta or from Georgia. But it was pretty interesting last night watching that.
Why was it? I watched it, by the way. It was interesting how it all came together. Once again, for all you guys have not heard me say that, there is more poor people than there are rich people in the United States of America. And so poor people have an upper hand in the sheer numbers. We'll get to that power of silent revolutions in a little bit, I'm sure, but not tonight. But yeah, it was interesting to see that they both broke out there, and they counted, I guess, all of the mail-in votes first, and so that gave them an upper hand. And then all of the counties around what they call the Black Belt and the metropolitan districts of Atlanta and Savannah start trickling in, and all those other counties around those places voted and came in and sent Purdue and the lady, what's her name?
Loeffler, something like that. Loeffler.
Yeah, sent them into the lead. And then they started sending in more votes from around those metropolitan districts, and it just ran them off the road, ran their little Corvettes off the road. So yeah, that's about but it's still not officially over, is it? Until all votes are counted Friday.
Yeah, but what they're saying is that Warnock's is, I don't know how many votes he's ahead, but he's got to be. By now, I'm just guessing, probably 40 or 50,000 votes ahead.
Yeah, he's beyond the 1%, I think it is, for a recount or a runoff.
0.5. Yeah, he smoked her. That's why they called his race last night. He was already up. And so there's not enough.
You're not gonna shout out your fraternity, brother?
Yeah, he's Alpha. Congratulations, Reverend Warnock, on behalf of your California Alpha brothers. But his total is the difference between him and the lady surpasses how many votes they're estimating that are still out. I want to say it's like 17,000 possible votes from the military and other people that's overseas that can come in by Friday, but he's already above that number. And the same thing with Ossoff, is that he's outside of that realm also, and that's why they wound up calling it earlier today. But that's good. I mean, it's tremendous. I mean, that's a tremendous amount of work that has been done in Georgia to turn Georgia blue. They got the first Jewish senator representing that state, as well as the first African American man, I believe, since they said since Reconstruction, if not the first ever. So it's changing, you know, and there's a lot of accolades that needs to go along. Everybody is shouting out the work that Stacey Abrams has been doing over the last 10 years, and she needs to be shouted out. But there's a couple of other organizations, and I should, the one that I know of that did the bus tour, I can't think what the lady's name is. There's another sister who went in a bus, and she actually started during the presidential elections, going to different states and stuff, and she wound up, when Senate races came up, using Georgia as her home base. But I know she did a lot of work on the Latino side. There's a Latino organization that's run by a lady. I've heard her talk. They registered. They had a goal of registering 1 million people, focusing in Texas, Florida, and a couple of other states, and they missed that mark. They got 700,000 new registered people, and then they transitioned and changed and focused on Georgia. And so she did a lot of work in there. And what she was saying is that it wasn't necessarily that they were registering new people. What it was is that they were reinstating people, because there was a big 2 years ago, there was a big voter purge where they took a bunch of people's names off of the rosters and all that kind of stuff, and people didn't even know. And so a lot of the work that she did, as well as some of the stuff that Stacey Abrams did, was just locating those people, letting them know that they had been taken off of the voter rolls, and then they needed to go back and re-register in order to vote in the election. So there's also the early results is that there's more people who voted in this special election than they did in the general election, which is unheard of. You know, that's not normal at all. And so there's a lot of energy and synergy that's been created there in Georgia, and I hope it percolates and travels to some of those other southern states, Alabama, Mississippi, you know, South Carolina, Tennessee, places such as that, so that things can really, really, truly change and take root for the future. But it's, you know, one of the things you and I talked about, I don't remember when it was, but I keep sharing with you that politically, kind of my reason for saying that was more of a local, some of the changes that I was seeing firsthand here locally. But as you look at it as a country, there are some tremendous changes. There's some things that you can put your hands, some positive things you can put your hands on. But I also think that what happened, what we witnessed today, was also a huge indicator of change. And as you said, the powers that be, the American establishment, the white elite, the wealthy, feel that their handle and grasp on power is getting away from them, and they're not going to let it go down without a fight. And I think that that's part of what we saw today is that fight with those quote unquote power sources, elite sources, losing grip on control, losing control of the United States politically.
Agreed. 100% agreed. But they have a way of, they got they got caught off guard, and now they crying, like the hurt folks that they are, and what hurt folks do. They, people empowered, and they start losing their grip and their power. They have nervous breakdowns and start crying and wiggling and doing all kind of stuff, and that's what's going on.
Yeah, but I think one of the things that has to happen is a lot of these people that were out there today were also out there in opposition to their best interest, and they have bought into the lie that has been perpetrated to them, that's been presented to them by Donald Trump, and people like Donald Trump moving forward. And so, how do you break that? And I think that's the struggle that's going to be happening over the next couple of years. Is
how do you break the lie?
No, you can't break the lie. But how do you get a person who has bought into the lie and followed the lie? How do you expose the lie to them so that now they can digest it and see it as a lie as well?
You have to beat them over the head with the truth. The ones that have broke the law today, they need to be tracked down and put in jail. And you have to continue on your journey of truth, righteousness, and love. And time heals all wounds, and time changes changes a lie to the truth. Time.
The one thing that psychologically, you never change a person by beating them in the head with the truth. Psychologically, when you're beating a person in the head with the truth, what you're doing is creating an atmosphere where they have to defend themselves, and they're going to do everything in their power to defend themselves against your attack of them. And so using force, whether it be physical force or mental force or whatever, that doesn't work with changing people who has been basically put into a cult. But the converse to that is that there's really not a one strategy or one technique or something that you can do to get people out of that. There's all types of different things that trigger people to change their cult-like or cultish behaviors. But sheer force, and beating it out of them doesn't work. That conversion therapy,
beating them over the head with the truth,
that doesn't work.
Yes, it does. Because it's okay. Yeah. All right. That's another. Yeah. If I tell you the truth for 150,000 years, it'll slowly sink in. If the truth is that people are born positive, and the negative hollering at people and the negative images and things that enter into their head turns them negative. Yes.
So if that's the case, why do we still have white supremacy here in the United States?
Because they believe it. Because they're not listening to the truth, and they're constantly being bombarded with the lie. But once they're settled down and they're put in a place where they can see that the truth is the truth and the lie is the lie, then they can change their understanding and attitudes. But you can't just, you're not advocating just allowing them to run off with their misunderstanding, because if you never push into the person the truth and the understanding, then they'll never get it.
Well, let me tell you what you're sharing right now is counter to psychology 101 about how you get a person to change.
So how do you get a person to change?
It all depends. It all depends on the person. That's not a strategy. Everybody has their own trigger for change. Some people beat him in the head with the truth changes them. Some people it's a traumatic situation. Some people it's pulling back the curtain, revealing
the truth.
But that's not a forced thing. That's just a matter of revealing it.
If you do it every day, and they're put in a situation where they have nothing but the truth to come to them, then that's going to be their truth. You live your reality and you live your truth. So if you're around a bunch of negative people, you're going to be a negative person. If you're around a bunch of people that live differently and understand that there's no difference in the human race, then that's how you will understand. It doesn't matter where you start; it's where you end up. It ain't where you're from. It's where you're
So
at.
how do you convert? How do you change the mindset of an inner city youth who has never been outside of the inner city, or a rural youth who has never been anywhere other than being in their isolated rural environment?
Expose them to the truth.
But how?
Expose
How?
Stop. Relax, man. You expose them to what they have not been exposed to so that they can make a reality adjustment to their own realities. If there's an intercity youth, then you take trips to different places, to museums, to parks, to whatever it is, different events. Then their mindset slowly changes to understand that their world is larger than just the block that they live in, or the 2 or 3 blocks that they live in. If you have somebody from the country who's grown up dealing with horses and cows and living on a farm, and they were never um, let off of the farm, and the schoolhouse is right next to them, that's all they know. And what people pump into them is all they know. But then when they go away to college and they get exposed to different ways of living, different understandings, different thought patterns, they change.
Not everybody goes to college. Not everybody has the opportunity to go onto a field trip to leave their environment.
You didn't ask me if everybody does that.
I asked you how.
You asked me how to change them, and
Right.
I have given you a solution of change. You give people the opportunity. You expose them to more than just their humble life patterns. You introduce them to books. You introduce them to movies. You introduce them to other things with different thoughts. And then they can understand different thought patterns. My professor hat.
Okay, but that's not supported by psychological by psychology. Okay, that's also not supported by reality.
Oh, it is supported by reality. And if you don't believe it's supported by reality, ask the children that were in Leadership West Fresno that left the Fresno metro area and went to all the different African American schools, historically black schools in the South, and came back with a different perspective.
I agree. You are 200% correct for that isolated group, which is a huge minority, significant minority of their representative body.
What you're doing now is you're creating an argument by changing the goalposts.
I'm not changing the goalposts.
You ask me a simple question. I've given you the solution and the problem, and you don't like it. So now you're going to try to chop it up. But it stands. It is the reality.
If you and I are thirsty, you getting a glass of water does not change my thirst.
Yes, it does. It makes you even more thirstier. But because you're my brother and I love you, I would share with you to suppress your agony of thirst. See how the mind works right there? You were thirsty and you took a drink. Good job, Gerald. You can't convince people what they already know. I've been in that experiment. I know that you can move. When I worked in San Francisco, there were people who had never left San Francisco and had never been to Oakland, which is right across the bridge. I lived in Oakland and worked in San Francisco and crossed that bridge twice a day. And they were amazed that I was doing that. So if they were capable of doing that, their whole outlook would change.
You also need to take in consideration that you are a person from Fresno who is living in Oakland, who drove across a bridge every day to San Francisco. Your baseline is way different than a person who was born in Hunters Point and that's all they know, or is born on East 14th in Oakland and that's all they know.
It's International Boulevard now, though.
Oh, International Boulevard.
I get your point.
You going back and forth across that bridge comes from a whole totally different perspective and different position than those people who have been on either side of that bridge and have not been anywhere.
Right. But because I have an experience of doing that, now I can plant the seed of understanding into those people in which I've come in contact with that grows their understanding that it is possible. It's like the elephant and the chain. When an elephant is small, they put the chain around his leg, they tie him to the little post. He learns in his mind that he can't do something. So then he does not even try when he gets big, knowing everybody around him with the experiences that know the strength of an elephant will understand that he just pulls that little thing, and that little thing pops out, that little stake pops out, and he off to the races. But because he is psychologically dim, such as the African Americans in the United States, then he can't move. He's not able to create a bigger reality for himself, and he stays small. There's also a book, I think Plato's Cave is the same thing, and about that. So there's a lot of stuff that are out there that we might think we know, but we don't actually know. Research.
Okay.
See my cherry, my son right here?
I see it, son.
Okay. So yeah, I'm an advocate of moving around. I'm not an advocate of Donald Trump and his fascist government. That's what he's trying to move the United States into, the fascism. The reality of it is that we're not trying to move into a communist, and that's what the rich Republicans have been trying to tell people. We're if anything, moving into the United States into a one world order situation, and this was the prepping of that, and they moved too fast, and Donald Trump is a fool and an idiot that they picked to try to ride that horse. Ain't happening. It's going to be very
it's not that they're it's socialism. It's not the other word you just said,
communism. But so what they attribute it to is like you say, words have meaning, and they have equated socialism to communism. They've attached the two words at the hip, and they're not the same, because we've discussed this on the show out of your mouth. Social services is a program not of communists but of socialism.
correct?
The what do you call it? The retirement thing that they keep trying to get their hands on.
Social Security.
Social Security, socialist program. It's not a communist program, but the way we continue to keep a total free, laissez-faire, free society of capitalism is to beat those other ideas down, to convince the poor people that the people that stormed the Capitol today, and unfortunately, the one lady who lost her life was a business owner from San Diego. They have told these people, lather these people up. It's going on in California right now with the recall of Gavin Newsom. He's trying to protect us as a society, and all that these other folks can do is want to keep the businesses open. So it's one step forward. Well, we've been closed for 10 days. But yeah, in those 10 days that we've been closed, you've allowed all of these people into your business because you care about yourself and your family more than everybody else, and haven't put the proper steps in place to manage. Did you continue the trend of the sickness, the virus that's going around, which by the way now has mutated, I guess, in England 2 weeks ago, and now it's here.
Mm.
So I'm with you.
It's here in California. Actually, by the way, if you notice, Corona is like secondary now. Yesterday was the highest death total in the whole coronavirus episode, and we didn't even talk about it yesterday.
You said secondary to the ignorance that's going on in Washington D.C.
We lost over 3,000 people yesterday, and
secondary to what?
Secondary to politics and all this other BS, this bullshit that's going on. The Trumpisms and the votes and all that kind of stuff. We've been losing a 9/11 terrorist attack worth of people for probably close to 20 days now.
Every day.
Every day.
I can see that.
And there's just, I mean, it's like it's like we've gotten numb to it, or I don't know exactly how to describe it. California's on fire. They said that basically there's reports supposedly in Los Angeles that ambulance drivers are being told not to pick up patients with COVID if they don't think they're going to live, just to leave them where they are. This is
An uncivilized society.
Yeah, and I hadn't thought about it in that way, but you're right. Because of the stress that we're under, we are going back to psychology. If you put a bunch of there's studies, if you put a bunch of mice in a very confined area and you overcrowd it, or you give them a lot of stress and music and those type of things, they start to do things that are out of their character.
Not only mice, there's studies where they've done that in the ghettos and of large cities to show how stressful the lifestyle is for people that live in those blocks that with 2, 3, 4, 500 people in them. So yeah, it's an animalistic trait. Yes, it's all stress. So that's why we have to eat right, drink a lot of water, walk a couple miles a day if you can, lay off the salt, lay off the sugar, lay off the sodas. This is the world that we live in. And one of the stations that I was listening to earlier today was saying that if you think this is bad, just you wait. And it triggered me back into the conversations that I have been having with people in my social structures for the past month or so. Yeah, just you wait. What are we going to do when there's no place for people to live? We have a hyperinflated economy right now, which is going to crash and burn. And the people who own homes and houses and apartment buildings and large strip malls, no one's going to be able to pay those bills. So when those bills come due, what are we going to do?
Stay where you are. If I agree with you, by the way, and I've thought about this. If the housing and mortgage protections erode and go away, and there's, say in Fresno, there's 50,000 people who all of a sudden can't pay their mortgages and stuff, what is a mortgage company going to do? Who's going to remove those people from those houses?
They're going to foreclose on those houses.
I got you.
And they're going to allow those houses. They're not going to send anybody out there to remove those people.
So they're going to stay there. So for the people,
for a while, yeah.
For the residents that are in those houses, there's really going to be no change for them. They're already struggling now. They're going to continue to live where they are now. You got homeless people doing that now, squatting.
Well, I'll tell you. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. I'll tell you what's going to happen. The mortgage companies are going to hire crews of people to go and evict those people out of those homes.
Okay. I think Donald Trump has just screwed that technique and strategy up for folks. But I think that what's going to happen is that the mortgage system is going to have to recalibrate itself. How we've got this deal right now, this mindset that it's too big to fail. So we've been throwing all like the banking systems, all that kind of stuff. Well, the mortgage systems, they need to crash and recalibrate. Have you looked at the cost of homes? Have you looked at any homes at all recently?
Yes and no.
Okay, so I've kind of been, for various reasons, looking at first of all, I've noticed that there's a lot more homes that are up for sale now,
It
especially
depends
in
on
this
where you
area.
are.
Yeah, in this area where I'm at over here, the area that I live in, there's a lot of homes that are for sale right now. And so I was like, let me go check this out. What's going on with this? So there was either the next block or 2 blocks up from us, there's a 2 bedroom, 1 bath, 1,400 square foot house. Guess what they're asking for?
235, 240.
190.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. There's a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, or bath on the quarter, down Arthur, on the other side of McKinley. They're asking 230 something for that.
Yeah.
Over where mom and dad is, there's a house right when you go into Butler Park on Whitney. Maybe 2 or 3 houses down from there. That they say that house over there is 5 bedrooms and 3 baths. I'd have to see that, knowing how those houses are made. But they're asking 2. It was like 250 or 260 for that house. There is
Everything has to reset. And right now, you have the people that live in San Francisco are bailing San Francisco, bailing the Bay Area, and moving to Sacramento. So there are no houses available in the Sacramento area because the people in the Bay Area are moving from Modesto up to Sacramento, buying up all the homes and the houses because they can sell their homes still for an ungodly amount and move into those areas.
So think about who the real true villain, as far as that's my word, who the real true villain is in that scenario.
I don't understand when you say villain, you mean the person or the entity that's taking advantage of the others in that?
Yeah.
The banks?
Right. The financial institutions. So that's the part that I really believe it's not a matter of just the mortgage companies. It's not a matter of the student loan debt. It's not just a matter of interest rates, those kind of stuff. It's our banking system. Our banking system is what has got everybody right now in a fucking out of control tailspin of how they're going to make it. And so how does that recalibrate itself? I don't know.
Well, there's one way that the bankers would like for it to recalibrate itself right now, and that's for them to understand a global market and push what is the Amero into place for Canada, America, and Mexico, and run off of that corporation and have a World Bank situation involved in the Americas, as they do in Europe.
Right. And that will never happen. And I think that Donald Trump
do you know why there's the people that are in the know say that it will not happen?
I do not know that, but I can tell you right now that the trust factor, because where Donald Trump has put us with Mexico and Canada, that it ain't gonna happen. I shouldn't say never. It ain't gonna happen no time soon. Canada's fine doing what they're doing. Mexico's fine doing what they're doing.
The 21st of January, when Trump is wiped off the books and Joe Biden comes in, it'll all be forgotten because we're talking about money. The reason that they cannot do what they want to do is because there are too many guns and murderers in the United States of America. So in order to take over the United States of America, they have to take your guns away from you, and that's not going to happen. We're just a violent society, and the powers that be, the gangster bankers, can't do that. They can't take the guns away from people. That's the negative positive with the ownership of guns in the United States. It's written into your Constitution. So in order for you to take that away from people, the Second Amendment, you have to destroy the Constitution. This attempt by the people that are handling Donald Trump, they figured out that the United States ain't soft enough yet.
Okay. So, by the way, I'm still looking for an answer. We talked, I don't know if it was last week or the week before last, about the the amendments and the voting stuff. I'm still looking.
So I did my research and I found that out. You are, if you're putting it out there this way, you are correct. There's nothing in the Constitution that says that people can vote.
Okay, but the question that I now have is, we have two amendments on the books. I forget the numbers. One that gives basically gives African Americans, although it's other people that's involved in that, but basically gives the right to vote for African Americans. There's another amendment in there that gives the right to vote to women.
Right.
If the Constitution does not specifically say anything about voting, what the hell is the amendment amending?
You know, when you were in high school and you took a test and they said, don't overthink the question, I think you're overthinking the question. Because the rich landowners, when they wrote the Constitution, did not write that in there. And you have to set a precedent in the United States of America to do certain things. And everything after that follows that precedent. Well, that's what the amendments were. We don't have the right for X, Y, and Z. Okay, so let's write an amendment to this document that says that these people now have the right to do X, Y, and Z. That's it. Plain and simple. Don't overthink
it. I still
it's okay.
Amend means to change.
Right. We're going to change the document to allow people to vote, the common person to vote.
Okay. Anyway, I'm still looking for. I've sent out a couple of emails to people I don't know, but people that I respect. Some political minds, and I haven't gotten back. I mean, I haven't heard back from them. So
fire off a question to Dr. James Taylor at the University of San Francisco. I'm sure he'll get back to you. James Taylor, University of San Francisco. He was on one of the shows that I listened to today, Carl Nelson show. I didn't get a chance to listen to the whole show, but yeah.
Okay, I'll look him up. I got a fraternity brother that's a professor out there, so I'll get his help to get in contact with him. Oops. So anyway, I'm out of steam, dude. So I've been tired all day long. So anyway,
can't be out of steam, man. You gotta have happy thoughts and pleasant vibes, and work your way out of that depressed state. Smile a lot, laugh, eat the sun.
Depression is real, dude, and that
you ain't got to tell me.
Kind of stuff. It sounds good, but you gotta do more than that. But anyway,
do more than what? Do more than what?
What? You got to do more than smile and have positive thoughts. You got to do more than that.
You know. Somebody asked me that question, so I'm gonna take a little time to talk to you to tell you people out there what got me through through one of the portions and parts of my anxiety and depression. I was diagnosed with anxiety issues, and so I played Pokemon. And the psychology behind playing Pokemon was I didn't have to deal with anybody. I didn't have to fuss or fight with anybody. I could get in my little car, and my wife, my beautiful, lovely wife, allowed me to leave my house at 2:00 in the morning when I was stressed out and go around and play Pokemon. This was about 3 years ago in 16, 17. And I would play Pokemon all the time because it gives you a sense of winning without, in the competition without harming or hurting anybody. So with that understanding and building that as a pseudo hobby, along with working on the cars, my little Mazda Miatas, beep, beep, it really gave me a sense of accomplishment and brought me out of what I would consider and known that I was in a depression and my clinical anxiety issues. So my advice to people is to find something that satisfies you and makes you happy. It might be baking, it might be walking, it might be cooking, it might be, I don't know, taking pictures, reading a book, sitting by water, doing yoga, jogging, whatever it is that brings you satisfaction and a sense of accomplishment, get involved in that activity. And work that activity like a $2 hoe until until you can't do it no more. But that, yeah, that's, anxiety is real, depression is real, suicide is real. We don't want to be drinkers, we don't want to have these negative attitudes, the gambling addictions, drinking addictions, sexual addictions. These are all real. So let's stay on the positive side of the ledger and not the negative side of the ledger. And you too, my friend, can be happy like me. Hey, you got a new chief of police and a new mayor here too in Fresno, huh?
Yep.
Yeah,
I know
I
one of them
heard.
sucks. The other one I haven't had a chance to meet.
I would have to agree with you on that. One of them sucks. Yeah.
But anyway, I'm
Well,
gonna
go
go.
ahead.
I'm getting ready
I'm
to
gonna
say
say,
peace.